So, a fresh new week has arrived, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every week I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you the viewers to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week, based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week, the trade deadline continued to approach, and some drama that had been unfolding continued to progress, so we definitely have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now, so if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, I want to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. PrizePicks is the most fun way to play daily fantasy sports and win up to 100 times your original entry. It's so easy to get involved as well. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. While we're all basketball fans here, they do offer pretty much any sport available to choose from and play, so there are so many different ways to play, and the potential of combinations you can come up with are unreal. PrizePicks also offers tons of special promos regularly, such as Taco Tuesday and Flex Friday, so watch out for those, along with some specialty free spaces that pop up as well for big matchups, so you won't want to miss those and take advantage of them. For this week's entry, I will be going with LeBron James to score over 23.5 points. To sign up, go down to the link in the description and use code REFERENCE to take advantage of the offer, where all you have to do is play $5 and you get $50 added to your account instantly. Once again, thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Ivan, and he says that Nikola Jokic is still the front runner for MVP right now. Nikola Jokic is obviously an all-time great in the making as a 3-time winner of the league's MVP award already, and his production speaks for itself on the offensive end, the likes of which we really haven't seen before. But this year, there are a few things at play, leading most to believe that he's taking a back seat in the MVP race. The Oklahoma City Thunder have been the best team in the league halfway through the year, with the league's best record, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been playing lights out, pushing himself to the top of the MVP ladder as we speak for good reason. Shai is leading the NBA in scoring this year, averaging 32 points per game. He's still as efficient as ever, making 53% of his shots as a guard. He's lethal in the mid-range and around the basket, possessing an uncanny level of body control to maneuver past defenders, and his impact on winning at the highest level is on full display, so in every aspect, he's checking the boxes an MVP candidate should be checking. If things remain how they are right now throughout the rest of the season, Shai will absolutely be taking home his first MVP award, but a lot can change between now and then. The combination of elite production on one of the best teams in the league has always been the #1 recipe for success in MVP conversations, and that's where Shai has the clear advantage over Jokic in this year's race. Jokic and the Nuggets are in 4th place in the West right now, which is good, but there's clearly separation between them and the first place Thunder. The Nuggets are only 2.5 games back of the 2 seed in the standings though, and if they find a way to climb up to 2nd place in the West by the end of the year, the difference between 1st and 2nd place may not be enough for voters to overlook the monstrous season that Jokic is having individually. Jokic is a 3-time MVP who is easily having the best year of his career this season. The guy is averaging 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists per game, dropping triple doubles like they're nothing, and he's also doing it while shooting 57% from the field and a career best 47% from 3. Production like that is really difficult to just look the other way on, so if the winning argument starts to dwindle in Shai's favor, then Jokic could still absolutely find himself back in the mix for this award. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Paul, and he says that Steph Curry is not a top 20 player in the NBA anymore. Steph Curry started to fall off a bit last season after being the best point guard in the NBA for the better part of a decade, and these kinds of takes slowly started popping up every now and then. Then Curry committed to play in the Olympics this summer. He was arguably the best American player in the whole tournament, turning the clock back and hitting big shot after big shot, and that narrative quickly went away because he showed he's still got that greatness in him. The problem though is that it's a lot harder to bring it out night after night through through an 82-game season than it is to bring your A game for a 6-game stretch in a summer tournament. Just like last season, the Warriors find themselves in the danger zone of the Western Conference standings, desperately trying to snag a spot in the play-in tournament, currently sitting in 11th place, just shy of one, and currently, as constructed, they just don't seem to have the firepower to make a deep run in the playoffs, especially not to the finals, if they even do make the playoffs in the first place. If they wanted any chance at glory, they would have needed the version of Steph Curry that we saw in the Olympics, but instead we're getting arguably the worst version of Steph Curry that we've seen since Steve Kerr was hired as the team's head coach. Curry is averaging just 22 points per game, which is the fewest he's put up since 2012. His ability to create separation is waning as he ages, and it's no longer reasonable to game plan expecting him to plug the holes of a flawed roster. He has no legitimate co-star to take the pressure off of him as a scorer, and the role players on the team lack the shot creation talent to balance out the offense. Curry's 22 points per game, mind you, also ranks 26th in the league right now, so going back to the original take here, Curry's best attribute has always been the fact that he's a better shooter and scorer than damn near everybody else. So if he's not even a top 20 player in the category that tracks how much you put those skills to use, then it does give some validity to this take claiming that he's no longer a top 20 player overall. We're seeing a huge changing of the guard this year, with players like LaMelo Ball and Cade Cunningham rising up the rankings at the point guard position. Victor Wembanyama is cementing himself as a superstar inside. Darius Garland has refound his all-star form and is helping the best team in the East, and then there are plenty of other familiar faces outproducing Steph as well. So for the moment, I won't personally write Curry off, but I will say that it does seem to be headed in that direction unless something changes. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Bhutan, and he says that the 76ers will figure out a way to turn their season around and make some noise in the playoffs. This season has been a full-on disaster for Philadelphia in almost every way, and yet there have also been quite a few occasions where right when everyone is about to give up on them for good, they do something to reel people back in and give them maybe a false sense of hope. Their season from hell brought them to their Christmas Day matchup versus the defending champion Boston Celtics, where they were expected to be smoked, but instead they somehow found a way to pull off the upset win on the road against Boston, letting people know that this team could make some noise at full strength. Since then, though, Joel Embiid's battle with injuries has continued as he strained a bone in his foot shortly after that and has not been on the court since, and with that came a 7-game losing streak, killing any momentum that they had built. That then brought them to their recent matchup against the first-place Cleveland Cavaliers, where again, without Joel Embiid on the court, it wasn't expected to go much different, but somehow they managed to find a way to pull off the upset win again, and big games from Paul George and Tyrese Maxey all of a sudden showed that there might be some light at the end of the tunnel. The Sixers are currently a game and a half back of a spot in the play-in tournament, so in all likelihood, they'll end up making it at the very least into that, but I'd still pump the brakes on anything else. Joel Embiid needs an extended stretch of relatively healthy play before any of these conversations can be had, but if or when that does happen, it's not crazy to view them as a potential upset in the making. If the Sixers sneak into the playoffs as the 8th seed, they've shown that they match up well with the Cavaliers when their best players are on their game. That would be an absolute nightmare scenario for the Cavaliers after the season that they've been having, because the Sixers have more athletic wings than the Cavaliers do. Joel Embiid has constantly given their big men fits throughout the years, and while the Sixers don't have any real answers for Cleveland's all-star guard tandem, it would be a much more even series than many think with a healthy Joel Embiid. That's as far as I'm willing to take things, though, because Boston has owned them in the playoffs every time they've matched up, and that's a hurdle that all 29 other teams also still need to prove that they can get over. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.